You don't need a new life. You need one focused hour. 1 hour of discipline beats a lifetime of excuses. 1 hour of focus builds a mind stronger than comfort, fear, or distraction. You've wasted days waiting for motivation. Now it's time to train your mind like a soldier. 1 hour a day to sharpen your focus, rebuild your identity, and dominate your own weakness. This is not about doing more. This is about doing what matters every single day. Because 1 hour, repeated daily, can change your entire life. Chapter 1. Stop waiting for the perfect time. You've been waiting for the right moment, the right motivation, the right mood, the perfect time to begin. But here's the truth, there is no perfect time. There never was. And the longer you wait for it, the further you drift from the life you say you want. You tell yourself you'll start when you feel ready, but you never will. Because readiness is an illusion created by fear. Fear that you'll fail. Fear that you'll look foolish. Fear that you'll waste effort and still lose. That fear convinces you to wait, to plan, to research, to get prepared. But preparation without action is procrastination in disguise. It feels productive. It feels responsible. But it's a trap. You don't need to be ready. You need to start. That's the first law of discipline. Action creates readiness, not the other way around. The people who win in life are not the ones who felt ready. They're the ones who acted while they were scared. They started in chaos. They moved through confusion. They learned through failure. And they grew through repetition. You have a choice. You can keep waiting for the stars to align. Or you can decide, right now, that today is enough. Because that's the truth, today is always enough. The perfect time is a myth. The present time is the only thing that's real. Think about it. Every person you admire started when it didn't make sense. They started when the odds were against them. When nobody believed in them. When they didn't even fully believe in themselves. They didn't wait for motivation. They created it through momentum. They didn't wait for clarity. They found it through movement. They didn't wait for confidence. They built it through consistency. That's the formula. It's not about confidence. It's about discipline. Confidence comes later. Action first. You've told yourself the same story too many times. I'll start when I have more time. I'll start when things calm down. I'll start when I feel better. You won't. Because life doesn't calm down, you do. And you only calm down through action. You think you're waiting for the right moment. But the truth is, you're avoiding discomfort. That's what's really happening. Starting now means you'll be imperfect. Starting now means you'll stumble. Starting now means you'll face resistance. But that's the price of growth. And the longer you avoid that price, the higher the debt becomes. You don't escape the cost, you just delay it. Every day you wait, your self-trust weakens. Every day you delay, your discipline dulls. Every day you avoid the work, your mind becomes softer. You have a choice. You can live in motion or stagnation. You can grow or decay. There is no neutral. If you're not moving forward, you're slowly falling backward. You keep asking, when will it be the right time? The answer is simple. When you decide it is. The moment you act, that's when the time becomes right. That's the paradox. Time doesn't create readiness, decision does. So stop waiting for perfect conditions. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for certainty. You'll never have any of those things at the start. You earn them through repetition. You earn them through showing up. You earn them by doing the hour, every day, until it becomes who you are. That's the key. You don't need more time. You need more intention with the time you already have. You waste hours scrolling, worrying, planning, wishing. But you won't give yourself one focused hour to move your life forward. 1 hour. That's all it takes. The discipline of 1 hour will do more for you than a lifetime of excuses. That 1 hour will teach you everything you've been trying to think your way through. Because action teaches. Thinking delays. When you act, you gain data. When you wait, you gain doubt. Movement gives you feedback. Stagnation gives you fear. That's why you must start, not later, not when you feel like it, now. Start small. Start imperfect. Start tired. Start broke. Start uncertain. But just start. Because once you start, something shifts inside you. You prove to yourself that you can. You send a message to your mind, I follow through. And that single act, that first, imperfect start, begins to rewire your identity. You stop identifying as someone who tries and start becoming someone who does. And that's everything. That shift in identity is how transformation begins. Not in the grand plan. Not in the vision board. In the daily hour where you show up, whether you feel like it or not. That's how you change. Through repetition, not revelation. Stop waiting for the breakthrough. Build it. Stop waiting for clarity. Create it. Stop waiting for motivation. Earn it. You have a choice. Keep waiting for perfect conditions, or start shaping your future with what you have. The difference between success and regret is not knowledge. It's execution. And execution only happens when you stop waiting and start working. So the next time your mind says, not today, you answer, exactly today. Because today is the only time that exists. Today is the only thing that's real. And today is the only time strong enough to change your life. So start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. Every single day. Because when you repeat that simple act, day after day, it becomes your identity. And once it becomes who you are, nothing can stop you. You won't wait for the perfect time again. Because you'll finally understand, you are the perfect time. That's the first discipline of transformation. To act without permission. To begin without guarantee. To trust that the first hour you give yourself will unlock the rest of your life. You mastered hesitation today. You broke the cycle of waiting. Now, it's time to build something stronger than motivation. You've learned that action is greater than readiness. Now, let's talk about the system that will keep you consistent, no matter what. Chapter 2, Build a system, not a mood. You can't build a disciplined life on emotion. Because emotions lie. They fluctuate. They rise when things are easy. They disappear when it's time to work. That's why most people never change. They depend on how they feel to decide what they do. But discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline is about what you do, especially when you don't feel like it. You have a choice. You can keep chasing motivation, or you can build a system that doesn't need it. Motivation is temporary. Systems are permanent. Motivation fades when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you're bored. But a system keeps you moving. That's the key. A system doesn't ask for permission. It runs whether you feel inspired or not. It's not about excitement, it's about execution. You don't need to feel ready to act. You need to act until it becomes automatic. That's the power of a system. Most people start strong and fade fast. They make plans in moments of emotion. They write big goals when they're inspired. But when the emotion fades, so does the effort. You've seen it before, maybe in yourself. You get fired up. You set the alarm early. You promise yourself this time it's different. Then one bad day hits. You skip once. Then twice. And before you know it, the old habits win again. But because you were relying on your mood. And moods are unreliable. If you want to change your life, you must remove choice from the equation. You must create structure so clear that it removes negotiation. You don't decide whether to train, to read, to focus. It's already decided. That's the system. When something is part of your system, you don't ask, do I feel like it? You simply do it because it's part of who you are. That's why systems work. They replace emotion with identity. They turn a decision into a standard. And standards don't shift with your mood. Let's make this practical. Think of one goal, just one. Maybe it's your fitness. Maybe it's your focus. Maybe it's building a business or improving your mental strength. Now strip it down. Ask yourself, what's the smallest, non-negotiable action I can repeat every single day? Not once in a while. Every day. That becomes your system. If your goal is discipline, your system is 1 hour a day of focused, intentional work. No phone. No distractions. No excuses. If your goal is health, your system is the daily movement. Not, go to the gym when I feel like it. It's, I move every day no matter what. If your goal is control, your system is silence. No arguing. No reacting. No energy wasted on noise. Systems simplify your life. They turn chaos into clarity. They remove guesswork. That's the key, simplicity. Because complexity kills consistency. You don't need 100 rules. You need one clear rule that you repeat until it becomes your default. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your systems. And if your systems are weak, your life will always be unstable. Understand this. Discipline is not about doing everything. It's about doing what matters every day. That's why successful people seem calm. They're not motivated all the time. They're structured. They know what the next hour looks like before it begins. They don't guess their way through the day, they execute their plan. And when you build a system like that, you gain freedom. Freedom from chaos. Freedom from emotional noise. Freedom from the endless loop of starting over. Because when the system runs, the results take care of themselves. But here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Building a system is boring. It's repetitive. It's unglamorous. That's why so few people do it. They want excitement, not repetition. They want fireworks, not foundations. But if you can learn to fall in love with the routine, you become unstoppable. Because repetition is what rewires your brain. That's how identity changes. It's not about the hype, it's about the habit. You don't need more inspiration. You need more repetition. That's the formula. Repetition builds mastery. Mastery builds momentum. Momentum builds results. That's how small systems turn into unstoppable success. So here's what you do. Build your 1-hour system. Step 1. Define it. What exactly are you doing during that hour? Write it down. Step 2. Schedule it. Same time every day. No negotiation. No guessing. Step 3. Protect it. Treat that hour like a meeting with your future. Because it is. And step 4. Repeat it every single day, even when you're tired, busy, or unmotivated. You'll notice something powerful. Once you remove emotion from the decision, you stop wasting energy debating with yourself. And when that mental friction disappears, you suddenly have more focus, more energy, more results. That's the hidden benefit of systems. They free your mind from decision fatigue. You stop thinking about doing the work, you just do the work. You don't need their permission. You don't need to feel good first. You don't need to wait for momentum. You build momentum through repetition. That's the key. So the next time you feel lazy, distracted, or unmotivated, remember this truth. You don't have to feel like it to do it. You just have to do it until it becomes automatic. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. It's not about excitement. It's about consistency. It's not about moods. It's about systems. And when your systems are stronger than your moods, your results become inevitable. That's when everything changes. You stop being controlled by emotion. You start controlling your outcomes. You stop hoping for a better life. You start building one. That's the quiet power of structure. It makes you reliable to yourself. You become your own accountability. You become your own coach. And once you become that person, consistent, steady, focused, you're unstoppable. You don't need to shout about progress. You just show up and execute. Because the system never sleeps. You built a system today. You learned how to move without emotion, how to act without waiting for a mood. That's the foundation of consistency. Now, it's time to protect that system. Because once you build it, the world will try to break it. Distractions will come for it. Comfort will attack it. People will test it. The next step is learning how to defend your focus, how to protect your one sacred hour from everything that tries to steal it. You built your system. Now protect it with discipline. Chapter 3. Protect the hour at all costs. That one focused hour you give yourself every day. It's not a routine. It's not a hobby. It's your weapon. And every day, something tries to take it from you. Distractions will come for it. People will come for it. Comfort will come for it. The world does not want you focused. The world wants you busy. That's the first truth you must accept. If you don't protect your hour, someone else will own it. Your phone will own it. Your job will own it. Your fear will own it. You have a choice. Either you guard your hour like a soldier, or you surrender it like a victim. That's the key. The hour is sacred. It's the one piece of time where you stop being a servant to everyone else's noise. It's where you train, build, think, and sharpen. It's where you become dangerous again, in the best way. But most people treat their hour casually. They schedule it, then cancel it. They start strong, then answer a message. They treat their focus like an option, and that's why their potential never becomes power. Listen carefully. If your growth is optional, your weakness will always win. The enemy is not distraction. The enemy is your willingness to be distracted. You say you want change, but the moment your phone buzzes, you check it. The moment someone calls your name, you stop what matters. You break your own focus to respond to something meaningless. You train your brain to choose noise over purpose. And you wonder why you can't stay consistent. Here's the truth. Your mind becomes what you repeatedly obey. If you obey distraction, you'll become scattered. If you obey focus, you'll become unstoppable. That's the law. That's the discipline. So how do you protect the hour? You make rules. Clear, simple, non-negotiable rules. Rule 1. No phone during the hour. Airplane mode. Out of sight. Out of reach. The world can wait. No notification is worth your destiny. Rule 2. No conversation during the hour. This is not social time. This is not check-in time. This is your time. Guard it with silence. Rule 3. No multitasking. Multitasking is mental chaos. Focus on one task, one direction, one outcome. Because every divided focus creates diluted results. Rule 4. Same time, every day. Make it routine. When the brain knows the pattern, resistance dies. That's the key. Consistency kills hesitation. Rule 5. End it with intention. When the hour ends, review what you built. Don't just close the book. Summarize the lesson. Reflection cements the habit. These rules are not suggestions. They are the armor around your progress. Without armor, every arrow of distraction will hit. Some people will not understand this discipline. They'll say you're obsessed. They'll say you're too rigid. Let them talk. They don't see what you see. They live in reaction. You live in control. You don't need their permission. You don't need their approval. You don't even need their understanding. Because this hour is not for them. It's for the person you're becoming. And that person needs protection. The most dangerous thief in your life is not another person. It's your own comfort. Comfort will whisper, "Take it easy." Comfort will say, "Just skip today. One day won't matter." But it does. Because habits are momentum. And momentum doesn't stop. It shifts. If you skip one day, you're training your mind to accept the excuse. And excuses multiply faster than effort. You have a choice. You can defend your hour once. Or rebuild your discipline from zero again and again. That's why you protect it at all costs. Here's the real secret. Protecting the hour is not just about time. It's about identity. When you guard your focus, you're telling yourself, "I'm a person who follows through." Every time you keep that promise, your self-respect grows. And self-respect is the foundation of strength. That's why this hour matters so much. It's not about the work you do during it. It's about the message you send to yourself. I matter. My goals matter. My growth matters. You repeat that message through action. And action rewires belief. So, what does protecting the hour look like in the real world? It looks like saying no. No to small talk. No to gossip. No to pointless scrolling. No to meaningless urgency. It looks like closing the door, putting on noise-canceling headphones, and giving the world a busy signal. It looks like walking away from people who don't respect your boundaries. It looks like setting alarms, using timers, and honoring your schedule like it's sacred, because it is. It looks like holding the line, even when it's inconvenient. And that's where transformation happens. When discipline becomes more powerful than distraction, you rise above the noise. Here's what most people never realize. Protecting the hour isn't selfish. It's strategic. When you become more focused, you become more useful to others. You bring clarity to chaos. You bring leadership to confusion. The one who controls their attention controls their life. That's the key. So, when you sit down for that hour tomorrow, Treat it like the world depends on it, because your world does. When you lock in, you teach your brain that this is the priority. And when you teach your brain to prioritize purpose, distraction starts to lose its power. That's when you separate from the crowd. That's when the shift happens. You're no longer driven by noise. You're driven by necessity. And necessity builds excellence. Every day you protect that hour, you reclaim a piece of yourself. A stronger piece. A sharper piece. A quieter, more dangerous version of you. One that no longer bends to distraction. One that no longer seeks approval. One that moves with precision. That's who you're building. Minute by minute. Hour by hour. Protect the hour, and you protect your potential. Lose the hour, and you lose the foundation of your transformation. You have a choice. Every day. Every hour. Protect it, or forfeit it. Because if you don't guard it, something meaningless will gladly take its place. You've learned how to start. You've built your system. And now you've learned how to protect it. You're no longer chasing focus. You're defending it. You're building a fortress around your time, and inside that fortress, greatness grows. But now comes the next challenge. The one that separates the consistent from the elite. You've learned how to show up. Now you must learn how to repeat it. Even when it feels dull. Even when it feels boring. Because repetition is where mastery lives. It's time to understand the real power behind consistency. You've protected the hour. Now you'll perfect it. Chapter 4. The Power of Repetition and Boredom. You think success is exciting. You think progress feels good every day. You think discipline is fire, passion, and motivation. You're wrong. Real success is boring. Real mastery is repetition. Real progress feels like nothing until everything changes. That's the truth nobody wants to hear. That's why most people quit. They crave stimulation, not transformation. They chase variety, not mastery. They want to feel something, not build something. But that's not you. Not anymore. You're learning the truth. What looks boring to others is building your greatness in silence. That's the key. Let's be honest. You don't fail because you're lazy. You fail because you get bored. You start strong. You build momentum. Then it stops feeling new. And that's when your mind betrays you. You tell yourself it's time to switch it up. You tell yourself you need something different. No, you need discipline. It's not about excitement. It's about execution. You have a choice. You can chase newness, or you can chase results. You can feel entertained, or you can feel fulfilled. But not both. That's the deal. Every great athlete, every great entrepreneur, every great creator, they all live in repetition. The same drills. The same habits. The same hours. Over and over again. It's not about loving the process. It's about respecting the process. You don't need to love it. You need to do it. That's the separation point. That's the edge. While others chase excitement, you build consistency. While they seek comfort, you seek control. While they stop, you stay. That's the difference between those who want it and those who live it. Repetition rewires your mind. Every time you do the same disciplined action, you're carving a new pattern in your brain. You're teaching your nervous system what normal feels like. Consistency becomes identity, and identity drives destiny. That's the power of repetition. It doesn't just build skill, it builds self-belief. Each day you repeat your routine, you're casting a vote for the person you're becoming. Each repetition says, I'm serious about this. I'm not playing. I'm not waiting for motivation. Because motivation is a feeling. Discipline is a decision. You have a choice. You can wait to feel ready, or you can train yourself to act anyway. That's the key. Now let's talk about boredom. Boredom is not the enemy. Boredom is the doorway. It's the point where the weak leave and the strong begin. Boredom is your test. It asks, can you stay when it's not fun? It asks, will you still show up when nobody's watching? It asks, do you want attention or do you want growth? Most people fail that test. They need to feel inspired to act. They need a mood, a playlist, a spark. But mastery doesn't need music. Mastery creates its own rhythm. The repetition is the rhythm. The routine is the music. That's why you can't escape boredom. You must outlast it. Because right past boredom is breakthrough. Right past monotony is mastery. Right past the urge to quit is transformation. You don't get stronger by switching routines. You get stronger by staying in them long enough to evolve. That's the law. So, what do you do when boredom hits? You lean in. You don't run from it. You sit in it. You breathe through it. You stay consistent anyway. You tell yourself, this is where the average person stops. So this is where I begin. You remind yourself that boredom is not a signal to quit. It's a signal that you're on the edge of progress. When the process starts to feel dull, that's your sign that you're close to rewiring your mind. Because the mind hates discipline before it loves it. It resists structure before it respects it. You have to break that resistance. With sheer repetition. That's how transformation works. Not through motivation, through momentum. Here's what repetition does. Builds trust with yourself. Every time you follow through, you reinforce the message that you can depend on you. And that's rare. Because most people can't. They say they'll start. They say they'll commit. They say they'll change. But they don't. Not because they can't. Because they break their own word. Every time they skip, they teach themselves that their word means nothing. But you're doing the opposite. You're keeping your word. You're showing up. You're training your mind to obey. That's what repetition does. It makes your word law. And when your word becomes law, your confidence becomes unbreakable. That's the foundation of mental toughness. Boredom is also where creativity is born. You think boredom kills creativity, but it's the opposite. When your brain stops chasing new stimulation, it finally has space to think deeply. When the noise quiets, insight appears. The greatest ideas come from stillness, from routine, from quiet repetition. So when boredom arrives, don't see it as a block. See it as proof that you're entering a deeper level of focus. That's where mastery hides. Not in excitement, in silence. Here's a truth you must memorize. If it's easy to start, it's harder to finish. If it's exciting at first, it's exhausting later. But if it's disciplined, it lasts forever. That's the paradox of greatness. It's not about motivation. It's not about inspiration. It's about devotion. Devotion to the process. Devotion to the craft. Devotion to the repetition that builds mastery. That's the grind no one sees. That's the power no one understands. You have a choice. You can repeat distractions, or you can repeat discipline. One makes you a consumer. The other makes you a creator. That's the key. So starting tomorrow, don't chase excitement. Chase effectiveness. Don't ask, how do I feel? Ask, what did I do? Because your emotions don't define your success. Your actions do. Stay the course. Do the reps. Build the pattern. Repetition over reaction. Discipline over dopamine. And when boredom whispers, why are you still doing this? You answer, because I'm becoming someone I've never been. You've learned to build a system. You've learned to protect the hour. Now you've learned to respect repetition and master boredom. You're building something most people will never touch. Consistency without motivation. That's where freedom lives. That's where power begins. But now, there's another level waiting. The invisible layer that separates the disciplined from the truly unstoppable. You've mastered your routine. Now you must master your energy. Because discipline without control burns out. You can't just manage your time. You must master your emotion. You've built strength in repetition. Now build strength in restraint. Next up, Chapter 5. Control your energy, not just your time. Everyone talks about time management. But time isn't your problem. Energy is. You have 24 hours, same as everyone else. The question is, how many of those hours do you show up alive, focused, and sharp? That's the difference between people who move the world and people who just move through it. It's not about time. It's about presence. It's about control. That's the key. Think about it. You can schedule every minute of your day. You can fill every box in your planner. You can create a to-do list that looks like a battle plan. And still get nowhere. Because if your energy is weak, your execution is weak. It's not about how long you work. It's about how deeply you work. It's about how fully you focus. 1 hour of full attention is worth more than 10 hours of scattered effort. That's the truth nobody wants to admit. Most people don't run out of time. They run out of energy. They wake up tired. They spend the day reacting. They go to bed drained. Not because the day was long, but because they gave their energy to the wrong things. You have to start protecting your energy, the same way you protect your time. Every conversation costs energy. Every argument drains energy. Every distraction steals energy. So stop giving your power to things that don't pay you back. Stop letting other people's noise write your emotional schedule. You have a choice. Every day, you decide who and what gets your energy. That's the real management skill. Not controlling hours, but controlling focus. Because time is limited, but energy is renewable. If you know how to guard it, here's the truth. You lose energy in 3 ways: mental clutter, emotional drama, and physical neglect. Let's break that down. First, mental clutter. Your mind is a battlefield. Every open tab, every half-made decision, every unresolved worry drains your focus. You think too much, plan too little, act even less. That's mental chaos. You can't control your energy if your thoughts are undisciplined. The fix? Simplify. Decide once. Delete distractions. Stop carrying everything in your head. Write it down. Set a system. Then follow it. You don't need to think about everything every day. You need to think clearly once and act daily. That's mental discipline. That's focus. Second, emotional drama. Let's be blunt. You waste too much energy reacting to people who don't matter. You argue to prove points that win nothing. You check your phone for validation that adds nothing. Every emotional reaction is an energy leak. Every grudge is a drain. Every overreaction is a thief. You have to stop letting emotions hijack your system. It's not about being cold. It's about being controlled. You can't be emotionally explosive and mentally powerful at the same time. That's the truth. So pause. Breathe. Detach. You don't need their approval. You don't need their permission. You don't need to attend every argument you're invited to. Protect your emotional energy, the way a soldier protects his weapon. Without it, you're defenseless. Third, physical neglect. You can't think strong if your body's weak. You can't be disciplined if you're depleted. Energy is physical before it's mental. You think you're burnt out because of work? No, you're burnt out because you stopped moving. Because you eat junk and expect clarity. Because you scroll for hours and call it rest. That's not rest. That's escape. Rest isn't about doing nothing. Rest is about doing what rebuilds you. Get sunlight. Drink water. Train your body. Sleep like it matters, because it does. The body fuels the mind. Neglect one, you lose both. That's the foundation of energy control. You can't meditate your way out of physical neglect. You can't mindset your way out of exhaustion. You have to earn your energy. Now, here's the secret. Energy control is not about intensity. It's about rhythm. You can't go 100% every day. You're not a machine. You're a system. And systems need balance. Discipline is knowing when to push and when to pause. When to sprint and when to recover. That's not weakness. That's intelligence. Rest is part of the grind. Recovery is part of control. You recharge not because you're soft, but because you want to stay dangerous longer. You have a choice. Burn out fast or build to last. That's the key. So how do you start controlling your energy? Simple steps. Powerful returns. Step 1. Audit your energy leaks. List what drains you. People, habits, environments. Be brutally honest. If it doesn't serve your growth, it's costing your energy. Step 2. Build a morning system that strengthens you. No phone. No noise. Move your body. Feed your mind. Center yourself before the world gets a piece of you. Your morning isn't about productivity. It's about protection. You're setting your energy before the world can steal it. Step 3. Create boundaries. Not every call deserves a response. Not every problem is yours to solve. Your peace is a resource. Guard it. Every no is a power move. Every not now is energy management. If you learn to control your energy, you become untouchable. Because most people are reactive. They're slaves to emotions. Slaves to exhaustion. Slaves to distraction. They let the world pull them in every direction. You won't. You're building control. You're managing your energy like currency. You're investing it where it multiplies, not where it disappears. That's power. Because power isn't noise. Power is control. And control begins with energy. So the next time you feel tired, don't just ask, where did my time go? Ask, who or what took my energy? When you fix that question, you fix your life. It's not about squeezing more hours out of the day. It's about pouring more quality into the hours you already have. You don't need more time. You need more focus. You need more clarity. You need more strength. And all of that comes from energy control. Energy is the fuel of discipline. Discipline is the foundation of mastery. And mastery is the proof of a life built with intention. When you control your energy, you control your life. When you control your energy, you build unstoppable momentum. You stop chasing balance, and you start creating it. You stop reacting to life, and you start leading it. You stop wasting your hours, and start transforming them. Because in the end, it's never been about time. It's always been about energy. You've learned to manage your time. Now you've learned to control your energy. But there's still one thing that destroys both. The constant mental negotiation with your weaker self. You've mastered the system. Now it's time to silence the excuses. Up next, Chapter 6, Eliminate Weak Negotiations with Yourself. Every day, there's a conversation happening in your head. A debate. A negotiation. One voice says, you should get up. The other says, 5 more minutes. One voice says, you said you'd train today. The other says, you've earned a break. One voice says, stick to the plan. The other whispers, you can start again tomorrow. That's the negotiation that destroys discipline. You don't lose because you're incapable. You lose because you keep negotiating with your weakness. And every time you negotiate with weakness, you lose time, you lose energy, you lose respect for yourself. That's the truth. It's not the world holding you back. It's the deals you make with your excuses. You have a choice. Either you silence that weak voice, or it becomes your master. That's the key. Let's be clear. Discipline is not about being perfect. It's about being non-negotiable. Winners remove the debate. They make the decision once, and then they act. They don't wake up asking, do I feel like it? They wake up saying, it's time. The difference between average and elite is simple. The average person asks for permission. The elite execute without emotion. You don't need to feel good to do great work. You don't need to be ready to move forward. You just need to stop negotiating. Because every time you hesitate, every time you rationalize, every time you argue with your own plan, you reinforce weakness. It's not about feelings. It's about follow-through. You have a choice. You can either be your own coach or your own captive. Understand this. Your mind is a master manipulator. It will justify anything to protect comfort. It will tell you you're tired. It will tell you you deserve rest. It will tell you tomorrow is better. It will make the delay sound logical. That's how your brain sabotages you. It convinces you to agree. The negotiation sounds harmless. I'll do it later. I'll start after this. I'll make up for it tomorrow. But every small negotiation compounds into regret. You lose momentum. You lose identity. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you weaken the muscle of discipline. Every time you honor that promise, you strengthen it. That's how you build mental toughness, by removing the option to quit. You don't argue with your goals. You obey them. Think about the people who never miss. The ones who are consistent no matter what. They're not superhuman. They're just done negotiating. They've closed the mental door. When the alarm goes off, they get up. When it's time to work, they start. When it's time to train, they move. There's no emotion. No debate. No permission needed. That's discipline. It's not about motivation. It's about command. You tell your body what to do. You tell your mind where to focus. You lead yourself. That's what self-mastery looks like. Here's the truth. If you want freedom, Stop asking yourself questions that invite weakness. Stop saying, "Do I feel like it?" Start saying, "It's who I am." Stop asking, "Can I handle this?" Start saying, "I was built for this." Stop asking, "What if I fail?" Start saying, "What if I stop negotiating?" That's the reframe that builds warriors. Every strong person you admire, athletes, entrepreneurs, soldiers, they all had to kill that negotiation inside. Because you can't live a disciplined life and live by comfort at the same time. One of them dies first. You decide which. Here's how to eliminate weak negotiations in real life. Step 1. Recognize the negotiation moment. It's subtle but powerful. It's that hesitation before action. It's that whisper that says, "Later." Catch it. Don't fight it, expose it. Call it what it is. Weakness trying to bargain with your potential. You can't defeat what you don't define. The moment you hear that inner voice, label it. This is resistance. That's awareness. That's power. Step 2. Pre-decide your standards. Decide before the feeling. Decide before the moment. Set rules that your emotions can't break. For example, I don't skip workouts. I don't negotiate my morning. I don't delay my goals. That's not arrogance. That's clarity. When the situation comes, the decision is already made. That's how you win before the fight begins. You don't rise to the occasion, you fall to your standards. So raise them. Protect them. Live by them. Step 3. Speak with authority. When that inner weakness starts negotiating, talk back. Say, "We're doing it." Say, "Not today." Say, "I run this." Your self-talk must sound like leadership, not leniency. You're not negotiating with an equal. You're commanding a subordinate. Your weakness doesn't get a vote. It takes orders. That's self-control. That's power. Step 4. Reward follow-through, not feeling. Every time you act despite the resistance, acknowledge it. That's how you rewire your brain. Don't celebrate comfort. Celebrate consistency. You don't need applause. You need alignment. The moment you realize that discipline feels better than avoidance, your life changes. Because avoidance gives you relief. Discipline gives you results. And results are the only real motivation. You have to build a new identity. Someone who doesn't negotiate with weakness. You act, period. You move, period. You finish, period. No mental bargaining. No emotional discounts. No excuses allowed. You're not here to feel comfortable. You're here to become capable. That's the mindset shift that rewires your life. Think about a soldier in the field. He doesn't negotiate with his fear. He doesn't negotiate with his fatigue. He executes the mission. But because hesitation gets you killed. And in life, hesitation kills progress. Kills consistency. Kills confidence. So stop negotiating with the version of you that wants comfort. That version isn't trying to help you, it's trying to keep you average. You have to be ruthless with weakness. You have to decide once and for all that your word means something. You said you would, so you will. No debate. No deal. No delay. Every time you silence that negotiation, you grow stronger. Every time you follow through, you earn respect from yourself. And that's what builds power, the kind of power no one can take from you. Because power isn't in dominance. It's in discipline. It's in the quiet ability to do what needs to be done, no matter how you feel. You have a choice. Keep negotiating with your comfort, or start commanding your destiny. That's the key. You've learned to stop waiting. You've learned to build systems. You've learned to protect your time, your energy, and your focus. Now you've learned the truth. You can't master your life until you master the voice inside your head. You've killed the negotiation. Now it's time to build identity. Because discipline isn't something you do. It's something you become. You've silenced your weakness. Now it's time to strengthen your identity. Next up, Chapter 7. 1 hour to rewire your identity. You don't become a new person overnight. You become a new person 1 hour at a time. That's the truth. You've been waiting for the big breakthrough. The perfect plan. The magic moment when everything finally changes. But that's not how transformation works. It's not about intensity. It's about identity. And identity is built in small, consistent acts that prove who you are again and again and again. You have a choice. You can keep wishing for a new life, or you can build one focused hour at a time. That's the key. Let's get this straight. Your identity isn't what you say you are. It's what you show yourself every day. If you tell yourself, I'm disciplined, but skip the work, your brain knows the truth. If you tell yourself, I'm focused, but waste the day scrolling, your brain takes notes. If you tell yourself, I'm improving, but never act, the identity never sticks. You can't lie to your own mind. It tracks everything. And every action you take casts a vote for the kind of person you become. 1 hour of consistency every day. That's how you rewire your identity. It's not about doing everything. It's about doing the right thing long enough for your brain to believe it's who you are. Because identity follows evidence. Not emotion. Not affirmation. Evidence. When you act with discipline, your brain rewires itself around that truth. You don't just do disciplined things. You become a disciplined person. And that's the goal. To become the kind of person who no longer negotiates with weakness, who no longer needs motivation, who doesn't need to think twice before doing what must be done. That kind of power isn't given. It's earned in 1 focused hour a day. Here's the problem. Most people waste that hour. They give it away to distraction, to comfort, to noise. They say, I don't have time. But they spend it scrolling, gossiping, reacting, complaining. You're not out of time. You're out of intention. And if you don't control that 1 hour, the world will. That's why I call it the identity hour. Because that 1 hour, done right, is where your future is built. So, what do you do with that hour? You use it to build evidence. Evidence that you are who you say you are. Evidence that you follow through. Evidence that you don't need permission to move forward. It's not about doing something random. It's about doing something aligned, something that reinforces the person you want to become. If you want to be strong, train. If you want to be focused, study. If you want to be wealthy, build. If you want to be free, create. It's not about speed. It's about consistency. Because consistency beats intensity every time. Let me tell you something powerful. 1 focused hour a day is 365 hours a year. That's more than 9 full work weeks. 9 weeks of uninterrupted growth. 9 weeks of transformation. That's how you separate yourself from 99% of people. Because most people waste their hours pretending to be busy, while you spend 1 building your future. You have a choice. You can live by distraction, or you can build by design. That's the key. Let's talk about how to use that hour properly. There are 3 rules. Rule 1. Treat it like a contract. This isn't a suggestion. This is a sacred appointment with your future self. When the time comes, you don't delay. You don't negotiate. You don't wait for motivation. You show up. Because this is the hour that decides your direction. Miss enough of these hours, and your identity starts to erode. Your brain stops believing you. So, treat this hour like oxygen. Non-negotiable. Rule 2. Protect it with aggression. If someone calls during that hour, ignore it. If the world distracts you, shut it out. If your emotions resist, override them. Because that hour belongs to you. It's not about being selfish. It's about being strategic. This hour is your laboratory of greatness. It's where you shape the next version of you. It's where the noise ends and clarity begins. And clarity is what gives you power. That's the difference between average and unstoppable. Rule 3. Reflect, don't judge. When the hour is done, don't overthink it. Don't tear yourself down. Don't chase perfection. Ask 1 question. Did I act like the person I want to become? If the answer is yes, even slightly, you've won. Because repetition rewires the brain. And small wins compound into massive transformation. The goal isn't to change your life overnight. The goal is to prove to yourself that you can. And that proof builds identity. Understand something crucial. Discipline and identity are inseparable. You can't act out of alignment forever. Eventually, your brain catches up. If your actions don't match your words, you'll either change your habits or lower your standards. And too many people lower their standards just to protect comfort. Don't be one of them. Raise your standards. Then live by them until they become automatic. That's what rewiring looks like. It's not magic, it's momentum. And momentum begins with 1 hour. So here's your assignment. Pick your hour. Decide your mission. Then show up for it every single day. No excuses. No delay. No debate. Because that 1 hour is the line between who you were and who you're becoming. Every day, you either reinforce the old you or install the new one. That's the choice. That's the power. You don't need to overhaul your life. You need to master 1 hour. That hour will teach you who you are. It will test your focus, your patience, your consistency. And it will reveal what you're really made of. When the world sees your results, they'll call it transformation. But you'll know the truth. It wasn't a miracle. It was 1 disciplined hour, repeated 1,000 times. That's how greatness is built. 1 hour to prove yourself. 1 hour to earn your own respect. 1 hour to rewire your identity. Do it long enough, and you'll wake up one day realizing you've become someone new. Not because the world changed. Because you did. You have a choice. Keep waiting for the perfect moment, or start using 1 hour to build it. That's the key. You've learned how to protect your time. You've learned how to control your energy. You've learned how to silence weak negotiations. And now, you know how to rewire your identity. You've taken control of the clock. Now it's time to take control of your environment. Because even 1 hour of power can be stolen by the wrong surroundings. So let's go deeper. You've built yourself internally. Now it's time to protect yourself externally. Next up, Chapter 8. Build an environment that demands discipline. Discipline dies in the wrong environment. It doesn't matter how strong your willpower is. If you surround yourself with distraction, you will fall. You can't stay sharp in a dull room. You can't stay focused in chaos. And you can't build discipline while living in an environment that rewards comfort. That's the truth most people don't want to face. They blame their mindset, their motivation, their lack of willpower. But the real problem is where they live, who they're around, and what they tolerate. You have a choice. You can design your environment to demand greatness, or you can let it quietly drain every ounce of focus you have. That's the key. You can't rise in a space built for stagnation. If your surroundings make laziness easy, laziness wins. If distraction is everywhere, discipline dies by default. Look around your life. Every object, every person, every routine is either building your focus or breaking it. There is no neutral ground. Your environment is either pulling you forward or holding you down. That's why most people never change. They try to build a new mindset in the same environment that created the old one. You can't plant new roots in polluted soil. You want discipline? Then start by building a space that demands it. Remove every piece of clutter that tempts you to waste time. Silence every voice that excuses weakness. Cut every habit that rewards comfort. Because your environment doesn't just reflect your standards, it reinforces them. If you tolerate noise, you'll live in distraction. If you tolerate chaos, you'll normalize disorder. If you tolerate weakness, you'll become it. That's not being harsh. That's being honest. You don't need a better mindset, you need a cleaner environment. Let's talk about your physical space. If your room, desk, or home looks like chaos, your mind will mirror it. You can't focus in clutter. You can't create in confusion. Order is discipline made visible. So start small. Clear your space. Throw away what doesn't serve you. Simplify everything. Every item you remove is one less distraction. Every empty space you create gives your mind room to breathe. That's how you build focus, by removing noise. You can't train like a warrior in a circus. You need stillness. You need control. You need an environment that makes excellence your only option. Now, let's talk about your digital environment. Your phone, your feeds, your apps, they're not neutral. They're designed to steal your attention. They're built to keep you addicted. You check one notification, and before you know it, you've lost the hour that could have changed your life. That's not lack of discipline. That's poor design. You must take control of your digital environment. Delete distractions. Block noise. Unfollow weakness. Stop giving your focus to things that drain your ambition. Every scroll, every click, every notification trains your brain to chase comfort instead of purpose. You can't become unstoppable if you let algorithms dictate your mind. You don't need to be entertained, you need to be transformed. And transformation doesn't happen when you're scrolling. It happens when you're working. That's the key. Now let's go deeper, your social environment. This one hurts the most. The people around you are shaping your standards right now. If they gossip, you gossip. If they procrastinate, you procrastinate. If they fear change, you start doubting yourself too. You think you're immune to their influence? You're not. Energy is contagious. Habits spread. And mediocrity is a virus. You become what you tolerate. You absorb what you're around. So look at your circle. Do they challenge you or comfort you? Do they call you out or let you slide? Do they make you sharper or softer? Be honest. If your environment doesn't challenge you, it's not supporting you. Comfortable people don't create excellence. If you want to rise, surround yourself with people who make discipline normal. People who treat focus like oxygen. People who live at the level you're trying to reach. Because proximity rewires belief. When you see someone live with focus, it proves it's possible. When you watch someone execute daily, it destroys your excuses. That's how growth spreads. Now, here's the truth most never hear. Your environment is a mirror. It reflects your standards. It shows your priorities. It reveals your level of seriousness. If your space is messy, your discipline is scattered. If your circle is weak, your identity is unguarded. If your schedule is random, your goals are meaningless. Fix the mirror. You don't rise by motivation. You rise by design. So design your life to make excellence automatic. Build systems that make discipline easier than distraction. Lay out your tools the night before. Set your phone across the room. Write your plan where you can see it. Make the right choice the obvious one. Don't rely on willpower. Rely on structure. Because structure creates strength. That's the difference between those who wish and those who win. You have a choice. You can live in an environment that rewards weakness, or you can build one that demands growth. One will cost you your potential. The other will cost you your comfort. Choose wisely. The disciplined don't wait for perfect conditions. They create them. They take control of every variable they can. They build spaces that make mediocrity impossible. Your environment should make your habits automatic. It should make excuses uncomfortable. It should make growth inevitable. That's how high performers live. They don't let the world decide their standard. They enforce it through design. So ask yourself right now, what in your environment is silently weakening you? What distractions are eating your time? What people are lowering your standards? Then cut them. Without hesitation. Without guilt. Without negotiation. Because if your environment doesn't support your vision, it's sabotaging it. And the world will always try to pull you back to average. That's its job. Your job is to build a world around you that pulls you forward instead. You can't control everything, but you can control your space. You can control your inputs. You can control your surroundings. And that control, that daily, deliberate control, is the foundation of unstoppable discipline. That's the key. Because the right environment won't just make you productive, it will make you inevitable. Every day you walk into your space, it will remind you who you are. It will push you to act like it. It will demand that you rise. That's how you build an environment that doesn't just support your discipline. It demands it. You've built systems. You've protected your hour. You've learned to control your energy and silence your weak negotiations. Now you've created an environment that reinforces everything you're becoming. But there's one more layer. The most difficult one. Because no matter how strong your space is, no matter how disciplined your routine becomes, the real test comes when no one is watching. That's where character is built. So, let's talk about that next. 1 hour a day. That's all it takes. Not talent, not luck, not motivation. Just one focused, disciplined hour that belongs only to you. The hour you stop scrolling and start building. The hour you stop wishing and start moving. 1 hour for your mind. 1 hour for your goals. 1 hour that no one can steal. You don't need to change your life overnight. You need to change 1 hour today. Because 1 hour becomes a habit becomes an identity, and that identity becomes unstoppable. So start today. Don't plan it. Don't wait for it. Protect it. Your transformation begins in this hour, the one you control.